First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to help out my dad now that he's fallen in hard times? Me, 23 female, and my sister, Alice, 19 female, grew up with divorced parents, 54 female and 57 male. Neither of us have ever lived full-time with my dad. My dad both earned significantly more than my mom when we were growing up and still underpaid child support. He made it clear that he liked functionally being single with a good wage. We didn't have bedrooms in his house and were often told to sleep on the sofa. I'd understand all of this if he was poor, but he wasn't. I, as the eldest daughter, was often used as the gopher between them and knew all this information from a young age. My dad would brag about his behavior to my mom and vice versa. In 2018, our mom kicked both of us out to move to Spain with our stepdad. I went to university. My sister went to live with our dad. He was all thrilled about Alice moving in and said that he was excited to finally be given the opportunity to parent one of us. My sister didn't want to go to school, so he made her get a job. Fair enough. She was paying rent. She's lactose intolerant, and he would throw the food she bought in the bin and tell her she was a waste of space. He told her he regretted having us both and wished he'd never bothered to be a father and would never been born. Alice got a boyfriend and moved away in February 2020. I graduated last May, having worked part-time during my degree, while job roles were getting sparse. I was applying for anything. I was panicking, and while I had an emergency fund, it wasn't a big one, and I was coming to the end of my tenancy and deployment, as I was employed by my uni. I was terrified of being made homeless and evolved into having daily panic attacks. Living with my mom wasn't an option, especially with her living abroad. I called my dad and begged him to consider taking me in. He laughed at me down the phone, said he'd gotten rid of Alice after he'd invaded his life and almost ruined his relationship with his current girlfriend. He said he didn't want me around, but out of the goodness of his heart, he'd take me in if I got a job, but also paid him £800 a month for the privilege of staying in a spare bedroom. Rent in the house I was living in at the time was £350. I hung up sobbing. In the end, it all worked out okay because I found a super good job, albeit in a non-ideal location, that pays me very well. Now, my dad has fallen in hard times. His girlfriend has been made jobless because the company she works for has been found to be committing fraud and is being investigated. He's been in furlough, and without her, can't afford the mortgage. He rang me the other day begging for me to move in with him to help cover his bills. Reader, I can't lie. I laughed at him. I told him that I didn't want to invade his life, despite being his biological kid, and maybe he should use some of that magical child support he didn't spend on us on his mortgage. Now, my extended family are calling me an a-hole, and that I should at least give him an allowance now that I earn good money to help him out. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Tell him you like being functionally single with a good wage. Lol, perfectly said. Not the a-hole. He didn't want to be there for you. He was neglectful and hurtful when he had money/power in the relationship. If he would have helped you when you were down, then I could see why you'd help him. But the way you describe it, it sounds like he's about to learn a valuable lesson. I really hate when absentee parents suddenly think their bio kids owe them support when they haven't been there as a source of support for their own kids. Spend the money you save by not bailing his butt out on whatever you want. Not the a-hole. Agree. I also hate it when family like to stick their noses in and shame the OP for not supporting someone while they do nothing. Not the a-hole. Screw him. Leave him to the consequences of his life and choices he's made. He burned those bridges and now has to deal with the fallout. Or he could move in, get a job, and pay her $800 a month. I mean... Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my uncle to walk me down the aisle instead of my mom? I know the title sounds weird. I will explain my situation as best as I can. My 27 female mom, 42 female, got pregnant with me when she was 14, but she chose to keep me. Growing up, my mom kind of just ignored me. She wanted to be a normal teenager, not a mother, so she just let my grandparents take care of me. They only really did the necessities, as they weren't too happy at having a pregnant teenager, and it made them resent me. The only person who ever seemed to care about me was my uncle, 40 male, 13 male when I was born. He read me to sleep, gave me snacks, calmed me down when I woke up crying at night, He basically raised me. He was outed when he was 16. My grandparents didn't kick him out because they didn't want to damage their reputation. I guess we bonded more because we were both outcasts from our family. They tolerated us at best. My uncle moved out as soon as he turned 18. I still got to see him because my mom dumped me with him almost daily so she could go out and not have to pay for childcare. My uncle continued to raise and care for me. I don't see him as my uncle. I see him as my dad. My mom hated my bio dad, 41 male, for getting her pregnant. She cut all contact with him and never told him that she was pregnant or that he had a kid. She never told me anything about him and basically told me I didn't have a dad. I left home at 18 and found him a year later. He had a family, wife, and a pair of twins. They were shocked to find out that he had an adult kid. He was rightfully pissed at my mom. While we bonded, I never really saw him as my dad. He understood that. Last month, my long-term boyfriend proposed to me. I was ecstatic. Yesterday, my mom came to visit and she congratulated me, and we started talking about wedding stuff. When the subject of my ceremony came up, I mentioned that I don't really want my bio dad to walk me down the aisle. Before I could say anything, my mom piped up and suggested that she walk me down the aisle. I calmed her down and told her that I actually was going to ask my uncle to walk me down the aisle. This pissed her off. She demanded to know why. She didn't like it when I said that he had basically raised me and was the only family member to give a damn about me growing up. She gave me a speech about how she was a teen mom and that we reconnected when I got older and that I couldn't blame her for wanting normal childhood. I yelled at her about how her selfish choices robbed me of a normal childhood. Our yelling woke up my fiancé. He's working night shifts right now. He asked my mom to leave and told her that we both needed to calm down. After she left, he asked me if I was okay. I explained everything to him. He 100% agreed that my uncle should walk me down the aisle. My fiancé isn't the biggest fan of my family. My uncle is the only one he's close with. I know having your uncle give you away isn't traditional, but neither is your mother giving you away. However, I'm worried that I'm being a bridezilla with the whole I want my wedding my way. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your mother doesn't get to pick and choose the parts of being a parent she likes. My friend 46 female got pregnant in the same scenario, and she was and continues to be an amazing parent and her son's only parent. Your mother thinks it is okay to brush off her behavior with a lame excuse, but no, it isn't. OP is not the a-hole and for sure not being a bridezilla. And I love that mom's excuse was that she just wanted a normal childhood, but uncle was younger than her and still was a great parental figure. Age was not the issue. Selfishness was. Not the a-hole. He is the person you want. You should have that. Even without the affecting backstory, it would still be your choice alone. I don't think it's being a bridezilla. This is a hugely meaningful decision for you, and it is your right to make it. Bridezilla is reserved for unreasonable demands, overvaluing aesthetic choices, and selfishly inconveniencing others. This is not that. It sounds like your grandparents' obsession with appearances was passed down to your mother. If your uncle walks you down the aisle, there will be questions that she doesn't want to have to answer. But that is your fault. Regardless her age, she failed you as a mother. You absolutely have the right to choose the person who stepped up to care for you, to walk you down the aisle. You are not a bridezilla and you are not the a-hole. Honestly, it doesn't even bring up that many questions. The daughter of a single mother being walked down the aisle by her closest male relative, uncle/brother/grandpa, is pretty common. It's not that much less common than the daughter of a single mother being walked down the aisle by the mother. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to help pay for a new PS5 for my brother after his was damaged? I, female 18, live with my parents, sister 15, and brothers 18 and 19. We all have assigned chores, and everyone but my brother sticks to them. I do dishes and sweep, my sister cleans the upstairs bathrooms, my twin cleans the downstairs bathrooms and mop, and my older brother take out the garbage and is supposed to take turns with mopping or sweeping sometimes. My twin brother does his part, but my big brother will let trash pile up to 3 to 4 bags. His dishes pile up in his room, and he keeps everything messy. We still continue to do our duties and clean, but we leave his mess for him to clean. I don't mind cleaning dishes most times, but he'll eat cookies and milk and let the leftover mush sit in the cup, and it stays in his room for nearly a week before he sets it on a counter for me to clean. Same thing with plates of food and bowls of old cereal and milk. My brother thinks rules don't apply to him because my parents allow it. I stopped going to his room to collect the dishes under his bed or on his desk. He apparently had a cup of water on his desk above his PS5, and due to whatever, it spilled over it and completely ruined it. My brother came home and went mad when he realized what happened. He came yelling at me because I hadn't gathered his dishes and it was somehow my fault, because had I collected it, it would have been avoided. I understand his anger as he spent $900 on it, but I told him it was his own fault, and he needs to learn to clean after himself. He told my parents what happened and they agree with him, and I should do my job so these things don't happen. My brother wants me to help him pay for a new PS5 and I said no. I offered to help pay to fix it, but he insists I'll keep having complications later and wants a new one. I do have the money to help him, but that's money saved for when I can go back to college and live on my own. My dad thinks I should do it because it's my fault, but I still refused. My twin brother agrees with me and says I'm doing right by standing my ground, but I'm feeling conflicted and feel maybe I am being an a-hole by not helping him out. I need an outside opinion on this. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Why are your parents enabling him? It's a pretty wild stretch of the imagination to say you should cover the cost for his negligence. It's unfair, really bad parenting. Your twin has your back though. Maybe lenience for the oldest child. Favorite child. Not the a-hole. If he didn't want his PS5 to be ruined, he should have taken better care to tidy his room. He shouldn't get to blame you. This is 100% not your fault. Right? Who puts a glass of liquid on top of a $900 piece of electronics? Sounds like brother should pay his own stupid tax. Not the a-hole. You shouldn't be expected to clean anyone's bedroom but your own anyway, regardless of whether anyone else does their chores. And his PS5 wasn't damaged by you, it was damaged by him. It was his own cup in his own pigsty. He shouldn't have had water by his electronics at all, and he should have cleaned up after himself. It's in no way remotely your fault, and it's frankly ridiculous anyone can even pretend it is. You shouldn't give him a single dime. He broke it himself. It is 100% his own fault. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my money to my parents knowing they will spend it on my sister? A bit of background. I am 25 years old and my sister is 17, turning 18 in a couple of weeks. Growing up, my parents had decent amount of money, probably upper middle class. However, they were frugal with me. I don't necessarily blame them because it did teach me to value money. I love my parents and they were nice to basically sponsor me when I'm in uni. However, when they had my sister, it was a complete different thing. She basically got given everything when I had to pay it with my own money. As a result, she became very spoiled, and in my opinion, generally a nasty person. She is very entitled and arrogant, and I basically hate her. After I left home, I basically cut contact with her. Not that she'd probably mind anyways. However, recently my family's finances have taken a massive downturn, partly due to COVID. I, on the other hand, got very lucky with the recent GME fiasco. I have made a very sizable profit from it and basically have a lot of excess money. Obviously, I gave a good portion of it to help out my parents. Knowing they might spend it on my sister instead, I told them to basically save it or invest it and be responsible. Well, it ends up that they did spend it on my sister by hosting a lavish 18th birthday party and an expensive gift. It was a $6,000 laptop, even though I know for a fact that their finances are still going down by the day. So I basically told them, I love you, but if you're just going to waste my money on her and not help yourselves, I'm not going to continue send you money. Couple days later, ironically, my sister called me, don't even know how she got my number, and told me I am an a-hole. Obviously, I told her to bug off, but lately I've been giving more thought, and I'm not sure if I'm really the a-hole in this situation. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. People in dire financial straits don't need to be hosting lavish parties or buying 6,000 laptops for anyone. If they made their bed, they can lie in it. Especially if they're throwing big parties during a pandemic. Not the a-hole. If they need help with a bill, you pay the bill directly. That's the problem. I would love to, but they don't divulge explicit details, only rough details. They run a business, so basically they just tell me how much they are losing a month and stuff like that. No bill, no pay. Write the check, don't give them cash or Venmo, to the company for the bill. If they need groceries, have them delivered or picked up. Not at A-Hall. Your money had a single condition. Your parents failed to abide by it. That's entirely on them. They're lucky you gave them anything at all. Your sister needs a good firm kick up the behind. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.